भगवान श्री योगी रामसूरतकुमार की जय। सर्वं योगी रामसूरतकुमारार्पणमस्तु। Let us offer our endless, grateful pranams at the holy lotus feet of Bhagwan for giving us one more opportunity to be able to gather here in the powerful shrine of Bhagwan and sing his powerful name. It is no small grace. Let us celebrate this. I have been repeating this sentence almost every day. Repetition has power. That's why we repeat the name. We repeat a prayer. The more and more we repeat, the more and more it gathers power. We should be really absolutely grateful to Bhagwan for giving us this name, this precious crown jewels, his words. If you may remember once again, one day in Sannidhi Street House, a lady was sitting and crying her heart out. So much so, some of us thought that somebody very dear to her had passed away. But later, when Bhagwan asked her why she was crying so much, of course he knew everything. It's for us to know. She said she had lost her jewels and she could not take it. And even while she was narrating it, she was crying more and more. She could not even complete the sentence. Then Bhagwan said, "It's okay, now you start chanting the name." He gestured to me, and I started, and she joined me. But only for some time, and again, she was completely overwhelmed by the agony she suffered from losing the jewels. It overtook her, and then Bhagwan once again insisted, "You continue the name." And she would join, only to stop it a few minutes after, completely overwhelmed by the grief. This went on for some time, and then Bhagwan turned to me and said, "This beggar has given her the crown jewel. But you see, she is crying out for the lost jewels." So Yogi Ramsuratkumar Nama is that precious crown jewel that has been given to us by His grace, and it is up to us to make the best of it. The more and more we chant this, the more and more sensitive to grace you become. And then you cannot take anything lightly. You develop a penetrating gaze and you read more into a situation than what appears on the surface. That is how we get to know the subtleties of life, the secrets of the soul, and get closer to God. Just as we celebrate, we praise and praise our Ishta Devata, we should also praise the children all the time, telling the children how good they are, how precious they are, without spoiling them. There is a saying in Tamil, a god and a child stay on where they are much appreciated. Now let's see one more story of a child, how Bhagwan responds to children. The children are very naturally pure because the stain of the world has not come upon them. This child was 4 years, her name was Reshmika. She had come here with her parents, Lakshmi and Soundappan. They were brought by Ambika from Shimoga. The child was suffering off and on from fever, some ill health, some health problems the child had, and they had prayed to Bhagwan. So while the parents were doing this Pada Pooja, I was with them, and the child was only 4 years, and unless you engage the children, if you call them near and make them pour water, honey, you engage them, it would be all right, otherwise they would start giving trouble. And in an ashram, when you have to finish a puja within 2 hours and there are other services to follow, it would be very difficult to entertain a child in this manner, no matter how much the parents expect. They would want to indulge the child, but it's not possible in an ashram, especially when you are doing a puja, you are expected to concentrate on God at least then. The child would definitely distract you from that. So I said, because she was crying, screaming, I told Ambika to give her a paper and a pen, and that would engage her good. The child was happy. She took the paper and the pen and went straight to Bhagwan's Murthy and sat down at his feet and started to draw something. Right in front of her was a window. You see many windows on the opposite side of Pradhan Mandir. And she started to draw. She became very busy. And the parents were able to complete the puja without much trouble from her. And they were happy also. Ambika went near the child and saw and was all appreciation for the drawing. Surprisingly, the child said she was drawing the window, but it came in the form of a butterfly. We know that it is no small gesture from Bhagwan. A child attempting to draw a window, but it should turn up in the form of a butterfly. We all know how closely we associate a butterfly with Bhagwan's presence. It was as if Bhagwan was saying, look, I'm not only in Pada Pooja, I am in your very drawing. I'm with you, my dear child. And the child was very happy, of course, drawing all that, very happily showing it off to everyone. Ambika spontaneously said, "You have done very well, Reshmika. Bhagwan will give you a proper gift, will reward you with a gift." And of course the child became happier, and by then the Pada Pooja was over and they had to take the Padakas to 10th cottage where it is kept. So they were busy getting ready for that, and the child went along. This time it was no chocolate that I promised, because by then I found out many mothers would not indulge their children with chocolate. In fact, they were very cautious not to give. So I didn't go near and promise any gift, but instead Ambika had done something. So it became Bhagwan's responsibility once again to fulfill the promise. And just then, those people had gone to 10th cottage. I was here in Pradhan Mandir, and Bhagwan's daughter Beena, her son Manish, came near me with a beautiful peacock feather. Very beautiful and fresh it looked. The peacock must have dropped it only then. He found it on the way, and he brought it to me immediately saying, "Ma, see how beautiful it is." Then suddenly it flashed. The child, I remembered the child sitting there. I had no idea that Ambika had promised a gift from Bhagwan. But the minute I saw this beautiful peacock, it was child's face, that child's face that presented itself. I said, "Manish, will you please go? Search for the child, it must be out there somewhere with the parents. Tell her it is Bhagwan's gift to her." I spoke the very sentence, and immediately he ran out. And those people were returning, and he called out, "Baby, baby, here is a gift from Bhagwan." It was a delightful shock to Ambika, who had promised right in front of Bhagwan a gift. It was promptly fulfilled by Bhagwan. It may look like an ordinary event, but those people, those of us who have developed the sensitivity by being with Bhagwan all the time, no gesture from Bhagwan is light, is to be treated lightly. To him, every thought of every devotee, every promise made by a devotee matters, and he takes trouble to fulfill it. Should we not celebrate this gesture, this generosity from him? We remember the other incident where I had promised one child, a 4-year-old, chocolate, and forgot all about it, became very busy with some devotees. And then the child found out a big chocolate right at the feet of Bhagwan. Everything matters to Bhagwan. Like the other day, the school student, Shriram, said, not only the thunder of the clouds, but also the sigh of a butterfly matters to God. So, in this powerful place, the ashram is filled with the Shakti of Bhagwan. I have heard many people say that as soon as they stepped into the ashram, a long-standing issue was solved. Suddenly they would receive some message by a phone call or something, and what was pending all along, torturing them, troubling them, would ease up, and there would be a solution in their favor. This has happened many times. So this is, while chanting the name, let us also look for this grace. Let us become more alert and sensitive so that even the subtlest grace would be visible to us and prove to be an occasion for celebration. There is another story of one Panneerselvam from Aaduthurai. His village is just 1 or 2 kilometers from Govindapuram. Shri Muralidhara Swamiji has built a temple for Bhagwan, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, with the help of the Aksar family, Shri Murthy's family. And here there is a very powerful Leela of Bhagwan, the background of the mountain. I've heard many people who live around coming and saying that they had made this prayer and that prayer and how they came true, how they were granted so easily. This Panneerselvam was a disciple of Panrimalai Swamigal. After his Mahasamadhi, he got a directive from his guru to come to Yogi Ramsuratkumar of Tiruvannamalai. That's how he started to visit Bhagwan. He was drawn more and more to Shri Yogiji and began to chant his name as well. One day he felt, in the beginning he had some hesitation, but after that he picked up his name and he wanted a photograph of Bhagwan. So when Bhagwan was sending him off, suddenly he blurted out, he said, "Swami, please give me a photograph of yours." Bhagwan stood arrested on the spot and his face changed. Panneerselvam says that Bhagwan gave him a slap. I had never seen Bhagwan do that before. I've never heard of this, but I had seen Bhagwan giving pats, very strong ones, on the back of people, and people had longed for it. Any slap or playful beating on the back of people, the devotees, had always proved to be a great blessing, so much so that people have longed for it. It's like when you shake up the trunk of a tree, all those dry leaves would fall down. So whenever people got a pat on the back, he says, this is on the cheek, a slap. Whatever, I'm very sure many unwanted things would have fallen off. Everything, Bhagwan had often said, even his anger was a great blessing to people. There were many, many times when I had stood there outside his place, he would say, "Go away." And I knew when he said, "Go away," so many unwanted elements in me would go away. If we were egoistic, we would have been hurt. We would think that he was asking us to go away. But if you become subtle and more sensitive to the ways of these great masters, you would know the subtleties behind his command. So Panneerselvam, despite a slap, stood rooted to the spot and kept silent, waiting for the next move. He simply did not know what to do. And he was sensitive enough to wait for a move from Bhagwan. And Bhagwan's face became tender. And he said, "Oh, you want a photograph of this beggar? All right, come." Immediately he took him inside. And there, even now people can see, there are 17 photographs, the same photograph hanging on the wall inside the hall of Bhagwan's Sannidhi Street House. I believe Bhagwan took a stool, a high stool, and put it up in one of the places near the wall. He climbed up and removed one framed photograph from the wall and gave it to him. These two gestures are extraordinary. Panneerselvam must have been very specially blessed to have received such generous gestures of blessing from Bhagwan. And Panneerselvam says, for many, many years after Bhagwan's Mahasamadhi, he did not come to the ashram for 15 years nearly. And when Govindapuram temple came, he began to visit there. He had adopted somebody as his son, and it happened once that the son went away. There was no contact with him at all for 10 months. And Panneerselvam was feeling so much. There was a longing for meeting this boy. He was missing so much. So one day when he went there to Govindapuram, he wrote down the prayer that he wanted to be united with this adopted son again. He had no idea where the son was. There was no way he could even get to guess. Just 2 days after the third day, that is, after 2 days, the very third day, there was a phone call from the son saying that he was coming home. He was coming to meet. In 45 minutes, I would be there to meet you. Just imagine, you do not know where somebody very dear to you is, and you just write a prayer, keep it at the feet of Bhagwan's Murthy. And 2 days after, there is a sudden call from the very one, the dear one, saying that in 45 minutes he would be with you. Such is the grace, the generosity. At mere calling out the name, at making a prayer to him. So the greatest gift of Bhagwan from the powerful divine is his name, Yogi Ramsuratkumar. He is here all the time with his raised hand in benediction, with a smile on his lips, with assurance, look, I am not even sitting down, I am standing. Readily giving blessings all the time. Those of you who enter this Pradhan Mandir, if you look up, there would be the saying of Bhagwan, those who enter this ashram will not go back empty-handed. That my Father's blessings are pouring on them. like rain, whether they are aware of it or not, it is the truth. It is Satyam, he would say. And that is why day after day after day, for the past 11 months, we have been chanting his name and submitting this prayer at his feet. Bhagwan is surely working on the problem, but then everything has a price. Like I used to say, if you want even a matchbox, you have to have the exact price for it, find the exact shop. It's not available in every shop, and you have to come out of the house. You have to make effort to go find the place, and the shop should be open. So you see, even this small act, so many factors are involved. And the way the world has been, the way it has invited such a situation, it takes a lot of time. One gaze from Bhagwan would have done the job. For some reason, it is taking its own time. All the same, we have to keep on appealing to him. And when the right time comes, at one Nama, the whole thing would be done. So let's submit our prayer. Bhagwan, we beg you for your immediate divine intervention to free the entire humanity from the clutches of this dreadful virus and bring back a dharmic normalcy in every aspect of life everywhere in the world. Bhagwan kindly approved the panic of the pandemic and arrest the spread of the disease. Please enter the medicines so that they would work. And all those brave soldiers who are laboring day and night, fighting the disease for the sake of the others, we beg you to give them protection and all-round wellness and a boost to economy and support to all the measures. And above all, we beg you again and again, soulfully, intensely, for constant remembrance of your name, your precious gift to us, and that we should go about our life as a fitting instrument in your hands, and that with deep gratitude to you. And just one more thing, that we should be able to see only your grace in every happening of life. That is possible only by your grace. It's very, very difficult to see grace in everything. But as we go on praying and praying and praying, accompanied by Nama chanting, this should become possible for us also. Please bless us. Jai Yogi Ramsuratkumar.